Hello everyone, this is Revant. So as a part of this video tutorial, we'll be going through the analysis component of the milestone 2 for the DevOps project. So in this analysis component, we'll be writing an analysis tool that runs on the checkbox IO server-side code, and it analyzes the code of the checkbox IO application and detects the following methods. So the first one is the long method. It detects any function that has been declared which has greater than 120 lines of code. The sync calls, which detects more than one sync method call in a function. The message chain is going to detect message chains which have a length greater than 3 in a function. And finally, the big O, it looks at the complexity of the function. If it's greater than 3, it's going to say it's not allowed. So in the end, we'll provide a report for all the functions defined in all the JS files on the server-side code, and will fail the build if any of these results occur. So for this video, we are going to install the Jenkins server against some EC2 instance, and then pull the checkbox IO code into the Jenkins server and then run the analysis part. So let's quickly run the setup checkbox IO build.yaml file, which will install all the Jenkins server against the EC2 instance that I've just shown. So meanwhile, we'll look at the checkbox build.yaml file. So this one will first make sure whether the Python 2 is installed in the server or not. After that, we'll install the Java JDKs which are required for the Jenkins server. Post that, we'll install the necessary packages which are required, the npm and the node.js which are required for the build libraries, and the git for the Jenkins server to pull the repository. So in the end, we'll be disabling the security for the Jenkins, and we'll be installing few additional plugins for the Jenkins server to pull the code of the checkbox IO from the Git repository. The Git plugin is installed, and if you want to do some post-build tasks, we install the plugin as well. We restart the Jenkins server after installing the plugins for the Jenkins, and finally we are going to create the checkbox job by using the checkbox underscore job.xml, where we specify the Git repository URL and the build commands, etc. So I'll just pause the video for a second as the installation goes through. I'll get back to you when it's done. Alright, the installation of the Jenkins server on the H2 instance is done. The execution of the YAML file has been done just now. So at the end, we have created the Jenkins job for the checkbox.io. Let's quickly pull up the URL for the Jenkins server. So the Jenkins job is in the build queue right now, so it's getting built. Meanwhile, we'll look at the checkbox IO job configuration. So if you look at here, we have specified the Git repository. In the milestone 1, we had a different build command where we were running just the npm install. Now we have added the node.js analysis.js. This part actually does the code analysis part for the entire repository. Let's go back to the build. The build has been failed. Let's look at the reason why. Look at the console output. So as we can see, the node.js analysis.js runs. It looks at all the files we have on the server side, looks at all the functions, and it print out all the necessary parameters that we wanted. For example, the complexity of the function, the message chain, the sync calls, and the line count. So for every file it's going to print out the parameters. So the build has been failed since this particular function has violated the condition where it has more than one sync calls in the method, in this case, which is 8. So by this log, the developer can see which functions are actually violating the parameters. So let's say function escape code has a message chain of 7, which we do not allow. For example, the function process tokens has a line count which is greater than 200, which is not allowed. So this kind of analysis.js helps developers to stick to the code constraints of a certain company or the principles. So this very much sums up the video. Before we wrapped up, we'll look at the analysis.js code. So as we can see here, we have declared 4 variables for each function where we see the sync calls, message chain, the complexity of the function, as well as the line count. So for the complexity of the function, we traverse through the node of if a node.type is function declaration. Now if we encounter a first statement, by setting that node as the parent, we traverse through its child. So this means we are in the second level of the loop. So if in the second level we encounter another first statement or a foreign statement or a while statement, we set this as the parent and we traverse to the child nodes of this second for loop that we have encountered. Now we are in the third level. So if we encounter a first statement or a while statement in the third level, this means we have a complexity which is 3. So we set the big O parameter of that function to true. So in the same way, we determine the message chain length as well as the number of sync calls for a function as well, and we print it out in the end. And if any of these parameters violate the conditions, we say the code the function does not follow the guidelines, and we set the exit code of the process toolbar, and we fail the build in the end. So this video wraps it up or sums up everything that we have to do in the analysis component. Thank you.